You've been lied to, not by one person, not by one bad piece of advice, but by an entire culture that handed you a broken playbook and told you it was gold. You dressed better. You worked on your confidence. You made bold moves. You said all the right things. At least, you thought they were the right things. And still, nothing. The spark just wasn't there. Here's the truth nobody's saying out loud. The problem was never you. The problem was the system you were using. And today, we're burning that system to the ground. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see female desire in a way that most men will never understand. Let's get into it. There are conversations happening right now that you will never be invited to, not because you're not good enough, but because you're simply not in the room. Women talk amongst themselves, and I mean really talk. No filters, no performing, just raw, honest conversation about men they've dated, messages they've received, moments that made them cringe, moments that made them feel something real. And here's what's wild. The moves that men think are smooth, half the time they're getting laughed at over brunch. The bold text, the "you're so beautiful" opener, the guy who pushed too hard too fast, all of it gets replayed and dissected. And the man? He walked away thinking he crushed it. That gap between what men think is attractive and what women actually respond to, that's the gap we're closing today. And trust me, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, before we go any further, if you're new here and this kind of real, no BS psychology content is what you've been looking for, hit that subscribe button right now. We drop this kind of breakdown every week, and you do not want to miss what's coming. So here's where most men go wrong, and it starts with one massive assumption. Men assume women experience desire the exact same way they do. And honestly, that assumption makes sense, because for men, attraction is fast. It's visual. It's almost like a light switch. You see someone, and boom, your brain lights up before a single word is spoken. So naturally, men project that same experience onto women. They think, if she's feeling it, she'll show it right away. If she doesn't react immediately, she's not interested. But that logic is costing men everything. Because female desire doesn't work like a light switch. Female desire works like a slow cooker. It builds, it develops, it needs the right conditions to even begin. And when men try to force a slow cooker to work like a light switch, they don't get attraction. They get resistance. They get walls going up. They get the "he was trying too hard" conversation happening over brunch. The fix isn't doing more of what you've been doing. The fix is understanding the actual process. And psychology actually has a name for this process. It's called responsive desire, a concept that researcher Dr. Emily Nagoski has studied deeply in the science of human sexuality. Here's the core idea. Many women don't experience desire spontaneously the way men typically do. Instead, their desire responds to a situation. It responds to context. It responds to how something feels emotionally before it ever goes anywhere physically. Think of it like a sequence. First there's context, then there's comfort. Then curiosity starts to build, and then, only then, does desire begin to show up. This is why a woman can seem totally neutral at the start of an interaction and completely engaged 30 minutes later. She wasn't uninterested. The conditions just hadn't developed yet. And the men who understand this? They stop panicking when attraction isn't instant. They stop overplaying their hand. They let the process work. And the results? Completely different. So if desire responds to conditions, what's the single most powerful condition that makes it grow? This is where it gets real. The most powerful accelerator of female desire isn't your jawline. It isn't your bank account. It isn't how bold you are. It's psychological safety. Now, I don't mean safety like you're some kind of threat. I mean the kind of safety where her brain can relax, where she doesn't have to stay on guard, where the situation feels stable, respectful, and free from emotional pressure. Here's the science behind why this matters so much. When the human brain detects stress or uncertainty, it activates a survival response. Cortisol goes up, the nervous system goes into threat detection mode, and in that state, attraction shuts down. The brain literally prioritizes safety over desire. So when a man gets impatient, emotionally unpredictable, or starts pushing before the emotional environment is ready, her brain doesn't think exciting. Her brain thinks threat. And the attraction that could have grown? It stalls. This is also why being overly agreeable doesn't work either. Constant people-pleasing doesn't create safety. It creates uncertainty. What actually creates safety is a man who is grounded, calm, steady. A man whose energy doesn't spike every time there's a moment of tension. That kind of presence? It communicates something powerful without a single word being spoken. Now let's talk about the 3 specific dynamics that take that foundation of safety and amplify the attraction even further. And I promise you, at least one of these is going to completely reframe something you thought you understood. Dynamic number 1. Recognition over compliments. Here's the thing. Compliments aren't the problem. The problem is the type of compliment. You have beautiful eyes. You look amazing. I love your smile. Sounds harmless, right? But if she's even remotely attractive, she's heard those exact lines from 10 different guys this week. They don't land. They become background noise. What actually creates a real emotional response is recognition. Not noticing what she looks like, but noticing who she is. The way her voice changes when she talks about something she genuinely cares about. The quiet confidence she carries. The sharpness in the way she thinks. When a man observes that, something shifts. She doesn't feel admired. She feels understood. And feeling understood is 10 times more powerful than feeling complimented. When a woman feels seen on a deeper level, her emotional guard softens. The conversation opens up, and that is where real attraction begins. Dynamic number 2. Anticipation. This is where most men accidentally kill their own momentum, and it happens out of pure enthusiasm. When a man is attracted to someone, his instinct is to move fast, text constantly, fill every silence, push the interaction forward. But here's what psychology tells us. Desire feeds on anticipation. The brain releases dopamine, not just when something pleasurable happens, but when it expects something pleasurable to happen. The space between moments creates tension, and that tension is what makes someone's mind stay engaged. A playful comment that hints at something without fully spelling it out. A pause that lets a moment breathe. A message that sparks curiosity instead of handing everything over at once. These small gaps allow imagination to fill in the blanks, and imagination is one of the most powerful engines of attraction ever created. So stop filling every silence. Stop rushing every moment. Let the rhythm of the interaction rise and fall naturally. Because when anticipation builds, so does emotional investment. And that investment transforms a regular conversation into something that feels electric. Real quick, if this is hitting different for you, if you're seeing your past interactions in a whole new light right now, drop a comment below. Tell me what's clicking. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. This community is growing fast and we're just getting started. Dynamic number 3. Competence. Not status, not wealth, not showing off. Competence. The quiet, grounded ability to handle life with clarity and control. When a man demonstrates competence, he communicates something deep and instinctive without ever having to say it out loud. He shows he can navigate challenges, he can make decisions, he stays steady when things get complicated. And at a subconscious level, the brain is running an evaluation. Can this person create stability? Can he handle pressure without falling apart? Competence doesn't show up in grand gestures. It shows up in the small stuff. The way he calmly handles an unexpected problem instead of spiraling. The way he makes a decision without excessive hesitation. The way he stays composed when tension appears. Those moments create a subtle but deeply powerful impression. Reliability, emotional stability, capability. And when a woman senses that, her mind stops being in evaluation mode and starts being in possibility mode. Curiosity deepens, respect deepens, and attraction deepens with it. Here's the full picture. When recognition creates connection, when anticipation creates emotional tension, and when competence creates stability, those 3 forces work together like a system. Connection draws her in, tension keeps her engaged, stability makes the attraction feel safe enough to actually explore. And once those conditions exist, you are no longer chasing attraction. Attraction is developing on its own. That is the shift. That is what most men miss their entire lives. They keep trying harder, pushing faster, performing louder. When the real move was always to build the right environment and let desire do what it naturally does. Stop trying to convince a woman to feel something. Start creating the conditions where those feelings can't help but appear. When you make that shift, everything changes. Conversations feel different. Energy shifts. Interest builds without effort. And the version of you that understands this? That version is unstoppable. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed how the energy of an interaction completely changed once the emotional dynamic shifted? Drop your experience in the comments. These conversations go deep, and I read every single one. And if this video gave you a new lens on female psychology, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. Because what we're covering next is going to take this even further. The men who understand how desire actually works don't guess anymore. They create. And that's exactly what we're building here, together.